It's a deep and abiding love that moves a woman to place her baby for adoption. But her story doesn't end there. After the adoption, there can be a variety of post-adoption emotions to work through. I've long felt that there weren't enough places to assist these brave and wonderful women. But today we're going to tell you about GEMS, giving every mother support, and they do a great job of assisting birth mothers, so stay with us. When Mary Adams was a 16-year-old high school student, she found herself pregnant and unsure of what to do. Feeling she couldn't parent, Mary decided to place her son in a closed adoption. Many years later, in 2009, Mary was working as a paralegal for Adoption Professionals, an adoption agency founded by Cheryl Lynn in Cincinnati. Spurred by her own need for assistance, Mary teamed up with Cheryl to form a support group for birth mothers. Mary, why did you launch GEMS, which stands for Giving Each Mother Support?
One of the birth mothers who had placed through Cheryl's agency here really wanted to start a support group for birth mothers. And so I thought it would be it was kind of like a dream come true, because when I placed my son 35 years ago, I had said to my sister, I really want to help birth mothers because I knew that it was such a life-altering and very emotional experience.
Mary, what's the focus of GEMS?
The focus of GEMS is to bring birth mothers together in a safe and non-judgmental environment so that they can just share with one another the emotions and the loss and the sorrows that they experience from having placed a child for adoption. And it gives them a place to process those emotions and feel that they're in a place where people understand and are non-judgmental about it.
What were some of the emotions that you struggled with after placing your son for adoption?
I think first, a great sense of loss. You carry a baby for 9 months. You go through the birth experience, and then you see this beautiful, healthy baby, and you have to say goodbye. And it's really hard. But having this group has really helped. I would not be able to talk about it before without crying. And it's brought me, some healing and some growth.
So in your effort to help others, you've helped yourself.
Oh, I believe so, wholeheartedly, yeah. Giving back has been really healing.
Mary, what are the goals of the GEMS monthly meetings?
The goal is to welcome any new birth mother who shows up each month, to make each birth mother feel at ease, to feel that she's in a safe, confidential place where she will get love and support from other birth mothers who know exactly what she's going through or can relate to whatever emotions she may be feeling at that time, because it is a journey. We just try to support, love. We have tears, we have laughter, we have sharing of pictures, and it's just a place where I think you would call it sisterhood. There's a sisterhood with birth mothers.
Mary, how have you seen GEMS impact women?
There's a sense of comfort and healing that I see, maybe a sense of more confidence, because I think part of what you experience as a birth mother is you feel the shame. You don't feel good about yourself sometimes.
Well, Mary, do you and the other women realize what heroes you are? Is that self-realization there?
I think so, but it's hard in our culture because I think there is a lot of judgment around it, and a lot of feeling of, gee, maybe I should have parented this child, or why couldn't I have parented this child? But I do feel like we are heroes, and that's why I think our name GEMS is very appropriate, because it's a very selfless act, and it is, it's amazing on all levels. I mean, you're giving life, you are doing what's best for a baby, you're doing the most loving thing that you can for the baby, because you have to accept the fact that you are not able to provide what your child needs, and so you're providing a loving adoptive family with an amazing gift, and adoptive families are just, rejoicing with that gift.
Coming up, we'll hear from two birth mothers and their stories of open adoption. Twenty-four-year-old Jerusha Clayman spends her time speaking at high schools and pregnancy care centers about her adoption experience. When she was 19 years old, Jerusha became pregnant. With the baby's father out of the picture, Jerusha felt overwhelmed. She knew abortion wasn't an option, but she had never considered adoption until she met Cheryl at Adoption Professionals. Cheryl put her at ease, but Jerusha still struggled with the decision, even though she knew she wanted her child to have a father. Cheryl gave her profiles of adopted families, and Jerusha believes a divine dream led her to the perfect family.
And I had a dream. And I had a dream about this woman. And this woman had red hair, and it was on fire. When I woke up, and I remember this woman's face, and I went and looked at these profiles, and there was a certain woman in there with red hair that was dead on the dream. I called Cheryl the next day. I said, Cheryl, I need to meet this woman. I met this woman and her husband in person. And when I met them, it was like we knew each other forever. It was peaceful. It was beautiful. And so I'm sitting with them in this room, and I ask them what they would think about raising my daughter. And silence. And then the father begins to weep, and he cried and cried. And in other words, they said yes.
A big yes.
A big yes.
Yeah.
A big yes. And so I cried, and the father cried. And ultimately, what I wanted was a father that was hands-on with my daughter. And that's what he is. It was a journey. It's still a journey. Adoption is a journey. Adoption is an unending, never-ending journey. And so I had to understand that placing her in someone else's arms was something that I was sacrificing for the love of her, that I love her more than I love myself. We live in a very selfish world, and so selfishly we can say all the time, I could do it, I could do it, why couldn't I? All the resources, which is true. But for me, I wanted my daughter to have something different, and so it was the sacrifice of placing in another person's arms, though it was hard that I was saying I'm doing this for her.
Jerusha chose an open adoption for her daughter, and they have a close relationship today. Her daughter is now 4 and calls Jerusha Ima, the Hebrew word for mother, to distinguish between the relationships. Shortly after the adoption, Jerusha and her mother Cindy decided to become involved with GEMS, looking for emotional support and understanding.
My mother was happy that there was support for birth mothers. And periodically other mothers of mothers come. And so she's able to talk with other birth grandmothers. What she gets to see is other people's stories, that I'm not the only one. And at the same time, she's glad that I have support. And so she encourages me to come. The adoption process is a roller coaster of emotions, that even if I'm in one emotion and someone else is in another emotion, another stage, I should say, that even if I haven't been to that stage, I might go to that stage one day. And so then there's that sisterhood, that bond that I have in this group. So for me, it's made me a stronger person.
With an open adoption, are you concerned that the line between the birth mother and the adoptive mother will get crossed or fuzzy?
I don't think so, only because our story has started in truth and will end in truth. She's being raised to know her story so that she also has the freedom and knows that she has the freedom to ask questions. So when she asks questions, at her level of understanding, they're answered. It's not, this is my family and this is Ima, but instead that she's being raised to say, this is my family, all of it. This is my family, and this is what my life is, and that she knows that she's so loved that she will embrace her story of a birth mother, adoptive mother, two mothers.
As a senior in high school, Beth Coleman discovered she was pregnant. She initially decided to parent until she saw a documentary special on adoption. Beth chose a wonderful family to parent her daughter, but placing her was harder than Beth ever imagined.
I didn't have very much money. I was only 18. I was still in high school. I had the support of my parents, but I didn't have support of anyone else really. And I wanted her to have two parents, like I did. And I wanted her to have some of the same adventures that I had as a child, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do that at that age. And I thought it was the right thing to do.
When did you first become involved with GEMS?
Actually, the adopted mother, Lottie, she had called me about a year before I got married and told me about a support group called GEMS and asked me if I would be interested in going. And I told her I couldn't. I had all these excuses. I told her I couldn't go because I was too busy with the wedding and everything. So she let go of it, and then after the wedding, she was like, "Your wedding's done. You want to go to the support group?" And so I finally, I didn't have any more excuses. So I went. I was very nervous. I didn't know if I'd want to confront the issue with other women. I was very nervous, but it ended up being great. I came and I met all these women who actually knew what I was dealing with. So when people said to me, they know how I feel, I actually knew that they did.
Beth is now married with a 7-year-old son and twin girls on the way, and she's still involved in her daughter Cecilia's life. Beth is grateful for the relationship she continues to have with Cecilia and her adoptive parents.
She tells me she prays for me. Every year on her birthday, I give her a Precious Moment statue with her age, and she tells me she has them all stacked up over her bed. So it's good, yeah.
And your relationship with the parents?
It's really good. I email with the adopted mother, Lottie, quite often. It's very open communication. I know that if I want to ask something, I feel comfortable enough to ask them, and they feel comfortable enough to tell me the truth. We have a really good relationship.
Looking back on the years in your decision, do you have any regrets? Would you do anything differently?
I used to say yes. Well, now that I'm 28 years old and I am financially set, I say I could have raised her, but at the time, I know I couldn't have. It wouldn't have been the same life that I am able to provide to my son and my future children. But I don't regret it. It was best for her in the end.
And now you're expecting twin girls.
I am.
Tell me about that.
Well, so after my husband and I got married, we knew we wanted to have more children. We just thought we would have one child, and then we found out there were two. So it's been kind of emotional ever since I found out they were girls, because I missed out on my daughter doing stuff, and I'm excited to experience this with her, these two. And my daughter, Cecilia, is very excited about them too.
When we return, we'll hear Monica Troy's closed adoption story and the search for her birth daughter. Since 2009, GEMS has evolved to include birth mothers outside of adoption professionals. Monica Troy, a mother of 5, found the group years after placing her daughter for adoption. When Monica became pregnant as a young girl, the father of the baby wanted her to have an abortion. But Monica walked away from him and into a Catholic charity center to find out about the option of adoption. Monica was overwhelmed with the idea of parenting and chose to make a closed adoption plan. As the years passed, she struggled with not knowing if her daughter was alive and happy.
I think the biggest thing as a birth mother, you wonder if she's alive. Is she okay? Is she loved? Did I make the right choice? And you doubt.
What kind of a journey was it to find her? What did you have to do and how long did it take?
Well, I've always wanted to search her. When I signed the papers at Catholic Charities, that's the first thing I asked them, when will these files be opened? And they told me at age 21, the files will be open and I will be able to find her. So at age 21, I began my search, and my husband saw my despair and my frustration, and he simply said, "Do you want me to find her?" And at the time, he was an FBI agent, and I never really thought to ask him. I knew that he really couldn't do that as part of his job. So he's like, I'll just do it on my own, on our computer, and it'll just be for fun. And I said, well, if you want to try. And I just went to bed. It took him 20 minutes. He ran upstairs and he's like, I found her. And I was just so stunned. I was like, how do you know it's her? And he just smiled and he said, oh, it's her. Come see. And he...
Did she look like her birth mother?
Oh, very much so. It was very overwhelming to look at those pictures. We went through a period of time where we wrote to each other for a year and a half. We didn't meet right away, and I think that was very important for both of us, really just to get to know each other. We decided to meet at Christmas of 2008, and we met for breakfast first, just the two of us, and we were both very nervous. I think we just didn't know what to say or to do, and for me, I was just in awe just to be in her presence. But I know she was anxiously waiting to meet her siblings. And they were waiting back at the hotel, so they were waiting for my call. So we met in the lobby first, and as a mother, those are the moments I will never forget. That was such a special moment. I'll never forget that, just for all of them to be together and to finally meet their sister. So when I first came to GEMS, I really thought I would find a lot of birth mothers that were 5 years, that just gave their child for adoption or less. And I was so surprised that we have a wide diverse of women. From 20 years to over 30 years, we have open adoption, closed adoption, and we all just come together for support and to share our journey. I think being a birth mother is carrying a heavy secret. You know, you go through life and there's not many people you can talk about it. Many of them feel embarrassed and shame. Some of the birth mothers that I know were sent away and nobody ever knows. And it's very important for them to talk about it. You're carrying so many emotions inside of you, and when you can finally release it, you feel so much better. You know, so I really encourage birth mothers at any stage that they're at to reach out to other birth mothers.
In a moment, we'll hear advice for women considering adoption. Mothers who choose to place their children for adoption are courageous heroes for selflessly putting aside their own wants and needs for what's best for their babies. But after the adoption, the path can be lonely and emotional for birth mothers. Programs like GEMS can be a lifeline of support and understanding, a safe haven where their decision to give their baby life and a happy home can be reinforced and praised. Jerusha, what would you say to the woman who's leaning more toward abortion over parenting or adoption?
I would encourage her to take herself out of the picture for a moment. I would encourage her to think selfless versus selfish. Abortion is a permanent solution to a temporary situation.
I feel like every child should have a chance at life. And I would say, you know, even if you're not ready or if you're scared to tell people you're pregnant, people will move on from it. It's not something that's around forever. My parents were very upset when I told them I was pregnant. And they knew I wasn't going to do abortion. They never even tried to talk to me about it, but there are other options.
The adoption plan, the biggest thing is writing down all the pros and cons of your decision. Looking into different options of, do you want an open adoption? Do you want a closed adoption? And talking about that through your social worker, really working through those emotions. You might start off partially closed, partially open, and work toward your emotions, but always remember what's best for the child.
I would challenge them to think about what's in the best interest of their child. That as a mother, it is our duty to think first of our children and second of ourselves. That parenting is not for everyone and adoption is not for everyone. But both choices are life choices, and both choices are beautiful choices. I would encourage them to do it from their heart and with love.
Monica, what would you advise to a woman who is struggling with her decision after she's placed her baby for adoption?
To seek support, either through group support or just one-on-one through other birth mothers. It always helps to talk with another person that walked the same walk.
I am certainly available to speak with anybody who would like to start a support group, because I feel it's so beneficial for the women who have come here to join and share and support one another. It's vital, really. I think it contributes to great emotional healing, and it gives you a place to really work through your emotions and know that you're supported and cared about.
After watching this program, you undoubtedly agree with me that these women are real heroes. It's true love for their babies that moves them to put their needs first, whatever the cost. Now it's critically important that the GEMS program be replicated throughout the nation. Visit our website at facinglife.tv to find out how. And thanks for watching. This week you have the opportunity to bless your mother for choosing to give you life, much like the GEMS birth mothers chose life for their babies. This beautiful wooden music box will show her your love and appreciation. Simply visit our website at facinglife.tv to enter for your chance to have this lovely gift sent to your mother with our compliments. While there, find out how you can order a copy of today's episode on DVD or Blu-ray to share with others.